I had affiliation with my business partner, so I knew all about it. You ain't got no drugs now. See, they try to, that 924C, they say that if you are traveling with drugs or what have you, you are protecting your drugs. That's the way they put it. States hanging with each other. States like Florida, you have a Florida car, your South Carolina car, everything together. But see, we didn't have it back in 93. I went from a medium to a low. The low was more treacherous than the medium. My first wife, we had a 7-year-old daughter. We weren't even together when I got locked up. And she started coming to see me every weekend.
We're here for the introduction of In and Out. It's a movement to change the world. It represents all things and all of us at all times. It's about freeing ourselves of any prison. Welcome to In and Out Podcast, where I have dope conversations with incredible people who have been released from some form of prison. Today, my guest once again is Andre Willis. We had him on last time for part 1, where he took us on his incredible journey of overcoming pain, grief, adversity. And today we've got him back for part 2 because he just had too much to talk about to do it all in part 1. And today we're going to talk a little more about the pain and the adversity that he overcame, also the redemption, and back to some more struggles because he is a human being. How you doing, Andre?
I'm doing just great. Thank you for asking.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate you for coming on again.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to get back into where we left off. I think that's the best place to start. And where we left off on part 1 was where we were talking about the police recruit. And you were talking about how the state could not find him and they had to actually drop the charges against the friends of yours that had kidnapped him and then were torturing him and essentially were probably going to murder him.
Right.
But then at some point somebody got hungry and they left and the police recruit was able to, I guess he was able to get out of, they had him tied up.
Yeah, they didn't tie him up good enough.
They didn't tie him up properly, but actually thank goodness they didn't tie him up. So good enough because he jumped out of the window.
Right.
And then the feds at some point got involved, so they were able to catch up with him eventually, and there ended up being a trial.
Right.
I went back and thought about that conversation when we were having it. And I remember you were talking about associates of yours or friends. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but they were people that you knew, and they were the ones that took him hostage.
Yeah, kidnapped him.
They kidnapped him. They were torturing him. Mm-hmm. They were cutting his skin.
Well, they was putting knives on the stove, putting wounds on him and pouring salt in the wounds. Okay,
yeah. So they were doing some hardcore stuff to this dude, to this individual. Mm-hmm. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this because listen, people are people. We all done some things.
Right.
But for some people looking at this, they may say, "This is a whole nother level. This is a whole nother level of thuggism." And so I got to ask you, because you're telling me the details. How'd you know about the details? Were you there?
No, I wasn't there, but I knew about the details, because I had affiliation with my business partner, so I knew all about it. But no, me nor him was there. So what it is, they call people from out of town to do what they do and leave back out.
I got you. So they either hired them.
Right. Well, no, they were still business associates of ours, but they wasn't staying here in Atlanta.
Okay.
They came from somewhere else.
Right. So they came in to do the dirty work, essentially. Right. All right. That's what's up. Fair enough. So we move forward. The state. Okay. So when the police recruit leaves, he jumps out the window. He goes on the run.
Right.
He goes on the run because he was scared.
Right.
To testify at trial. The state can't find him. The state drops the charges. The feds pick the charges up. They find him.
Right. And that's how they that's one of the counts that where they was able to turn it into a RICO case.
What was the count?
When they kidnapped and tortured him. RICO, racketeering, it got violence in it.
Right.
Also.
Right. That's right. So it was RICO, which is if anybody that's listening, it's RICO. It's the Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption, and Corrupt Organization Act, and that's actually what they tried to try Thug on, Young Thug, on the state, because the state of Georgia also has
the RICO charge.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of him having a RICO charge in the state of Georgia.
Right.
First.
Right.
And because hearsay is not admissible in Georgia in court. So it was a waste of money anyway. Right. But yeah.
Yeah, and actually, to add to that, in most cases, hearsay is not admissible, and in most state cases, but it's a catch-all under the RICO charge, which essentially has an exception to the hearsay rule, and then there's an exception to the exception, and those come in under federal cases because most of the time RICO cases are tried. They're tried under the RICO charge.
Right. Well, conspiracy, hearsay. So federal got hearsay, period, admissible in all the courts over the United States.
Right, that's right. And because the hearsay exception came in my trial. I'm at trial and there's hearsay and I'm like, that's hearsay. And then that's when the first time when I learned about exception to the hearsay rule.
See, we as people in general don't know the law.
On point. Facts.
They like, okay, well, they ain't got nothing on me. But see, what people don't understand, in the federal system, a person ain't even got to call and set you up.
That's right.
All they got to do is make statements. They get 2 or more people to make statements on you. You got a conspiracy case just like that.
There you go. 2 or more people coming together in the furtherance of committing a criminal act. If they have any type of agreement, if they can make you believe there was some type of agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're teaching right now, and people got to hear it.
Right, and see, that's what I want to do even with my life story. I want to teach them.
Right.
Because we don't know.
That's right.
This gang activity, automatic RICO.
That's right.
I seen a guy, man, he was...
And explain that. Gang activity, automatic RICO.
Because of the violence. Right. It's corrupt. It's violence. Right. So the feds are trying to pick up all of those cases.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but if the federal government can essentially prove, now they got many different ways to prove it. When we look at it, that's not real proof. Right. But the way they look at it and the way it's going to play out in court, for anyone that's listening and doesn't know, if they can show in some type of way, some type of inference, whether it's by some signs that you're throwing up, it might even be in a video. Right. If they can make the inference that you was affiliated, you have gang affiliation, right, then they can charge you with RICO. Exactly. And it could be other members in the gang that was committing the violence where you might have not even committed any violence, but they're gonna bring you up underneath it.
Exactly. It is crazy.
I tell you something else, and I'm sure this was your same experience. And I don't use these words, these percentages loosely, but damn near 90% of the niggas that I knew in federal prison that I seen with my own eyes, that I experienced, that I lived with on a daily basis for 6.5 years that I spent in federal prison, were in there with some type of conspiracy. So it was really a catch-all for us.
Right. Because, the feds got a 99.9 conviction rate.
Say that again.
99.9% conviction rate.
And another thing I want you to speak on. Another thing that I noticed when I was in there is most of the dudes in there didn't really know the type of time they were facing. Exactly. And that's why it takes individuals like yourself, because you've been through it. Listen, you made mistakes. We speak it plain. You're not a perfect individual, and neither am I. The thing is, nobody on earth is a perfect individual. Right. And that's why there's great value to, you made your mistakes, but you paid for those mistakes, and you paid dearly. All of us did. Like, those years in prison is paying for the mistakes that you made. You served your time, and you grew from that, and you learned from that. And that's why I think it's admirable that you have it in your heart, and you're making efforts to be able to teach others so they don't have to go through what you went through. Because most of those individuals in there, including myself, did not truly understand how much time we could get for the crimes that we was committing. So tell me about it.
You knew if you got caught, you were going to do some time. That's right. But you didn't know how much time. That's right. That's just, you take the basic conspiracy law. Right. It's a mandatory minimum 10 years. Wow. Just right off the bat.
And then talk about the ways they can stretch you out. What I mean by that is they can punish your ass if they're enhancements.
The enhancements, don't get caught with drugs and a pistol or drugs and any type of weapon.
Why not?
That's a 924C. That's an automatic carrying a weapon during the commission of a crime.
And tell them how they run them charges, like when you get sentenced.
The 924C is run consecutive.
There you go. Which means
that sentence, once you get through with one sentence, then you start on another sentence.
one after another.
One after the other.
Right, and the difference between that and running it concurrent, like what most people might, like my sentence was ran concurrent. Right. I had 4 sentences. I got 151 months, but they ran it at the same time.
Right.
And what that means is that the 151 months for each charge that I got, if you added that together and they ran it consecutive, that would be, a quick math would be 604 months, which is 12 years, 7 months times 4, which is
48 years.
There you go. Close to 50. Yeah, exactly. Close to 49, which is damn near a life sentence. But if they run it concurrently at the same time, it's really like, even though you got charged on 4 separate counts, you doing all of your time at the same time. But when they run it consecutive, you got to do all of the time for one charge, and then you start the other.
So any pistol or weapon charge is going to be ran consecutive to whatever charge that you have.
That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
If you carrying a pistol when you're committing crimes.
That's automatic 10 just starting off and don't have no criminal history.
Because then what's going to happen?
It's going to double it.
It's going to double it.
It's going to double it.
Wow. That's called careering you out, right? Or what do they call it?
Well, it's not career you out.
Because career you out is level 36, I think, 360 to life.
Right. But see the RICO, you starting off at 30 anyway. That's a minimum.
Isn't that what they hit Meach with?
I don't know if he had a RICO. I'm not for sure if he had a RICO.
Right. I think he did. I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll come back and make an update. Yeah. Because they gave him 360.
Right. But it's an automatic 360 to life.
Did you had RICO?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you didn't have RICO. Okay. Or we might not be sitting here talking to each other right now.
Right. Well, I seen a guy come through the system. 23 years old. He was 23 or 24.
Were you locked up with him?
Yeah.
All right. Where were you at? What prison?
No, I was in holdover over in Lovejoy. And he went to trial.
What was he facing? What was his charge?
Well, it was gang activity. So his gang members testified against him. Even the leader of the gang, GDs, testified against the boy. The boy, 23 years old, they give him 30 years. I just said to myself, damn, you got more time than you've been alive. And you're going to have to do more time than you have actually been alive. Because on 30, you do 27.
Yeah, basically close to a 26 and a half, you know. And then with the RICO or with the gun charge, a lot of times if you got the gun charge, they're not even letting you get that little year off for the drug program.
Right. Well, you automatically, anything that's violent, you automatically don't qualify for a lot of the program. A lot of the programs.
Right. That's right.
You know, even they got the what is it called? The First Step Act with Trump put in. If you got a violent charge, you ain't eligible for that.
Right.
It's non-violent offenders.
Right.
You know, just because you carry, or say like a convicted felon in possession of a firearm, they don't consider that violent because you didn't use that weapon and you ain't got no drugs and nothing. See, they try to, that 924C, they say that if you are traveling or, you know, with drugs or what have you, you are protecting your drugs. That's the way they put it.
That's exactly what they say. You're protecting the drugs, and if you have to, you'll use it.
Right.
And that's how they knock your head off.
That's how they knock your head off.
You know, and listen, I'm gonna say this here. I disagree wholeheartedly with the amount of time that they're giving out, the draconian sentences. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with you giving someone 30 years or RICO charges because they had a gun and they say that you would use it and you protecting your drugs. I don't agree with that. But I do agree that if you committed violence, that you should do more time than somebody that's not violent. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I ain't got a problem with it.
Right. That most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I my first time during incarceration, it was a group of guys that did a bank robbery. And they went in there facing 10. But I'm gonna tell you what enhanced them to 20. They shot the weapons up in the ceilings of the bank to get everybody's attention.
Right.
That was an additional 10 years that they got just for that.
Wow.
Just for that.
Okay. Yeah, well, them bullets could have ricocheted. Somebody could have died. I mean, I don't think they should have got an additional 10 years, but I'm just saying that's the way they're going. That's they got it one way or another. I wasn't the judge, so yeah. So tell me, when they started you off, when you got that time, and I'm gonna go back. I know I might be jumping over the place, but we talking about violence and we talking about prison, so I want to know, where was you at? What was the highest institution you were at?
Talladega, which was a medium.
Talladega medium. How was it? Was it violent?
It could get violent, but when I first got there, they were on lockdown because the inmates had tried to take over the compound.
All right. And Talladega's in Alabama, right?
So that was...
How long did that last? The lockdown?
Well, actually, I got there the day they let them off of lockdown. But I still had to go to the SHU because they didn't have room on the compound.
Explain what the SHU is. SHU, right?
Yeah, it's... They call it this special housing unit, but we know it as the whole.
Right. No doubt. Right, and I know that, and that's why I wanted you. A lot of people ain't gonna know what the SHU is.
Everybody knows it as the whole.
How long did you have to stay in there?
I think I stayed in there maybe 4 or 5 days till they cleared or made room for the people that they was transferring out of the prison.
Do you feel it's some type of mental torture?
The SHU?
Yes.
It most definitely.
Okay, did it test your mental?
It most definitely do. Again, this was my first time being incarcerated.
Okay.
You know, you get in there, you can't go to the commissary. You get the phone once a week.
Right.
And whatever time you put down on that phone, you call home, they don't answer. You gotta wait, that's it. You gotta wait till the next week.
How long are you in there for? Like every day?
I was in there for about 5-6 days, I think.
How many hours do you spend in the SHU?
Oh, well, if you don't go outside, you in there 24. But they do a 23 and 1.
23 hours and let you out 1 hour, right?
Let you out for rec 1 hour, and you go out there and stand in a cage.
Right.
I mean, it's just a cage.
By yourself?
Well, you know, they may put you in with somebody else from another cell, but, you know, they know who to separate and who not, you know, not to let be together. But if you just in the SHU, not with no separatee stuff, they put...
What is the separatese?
Separatese is where you can't be on the compound with a individual.
And why not?
Well, for one, it comes from, you know, sometimes they make a mistake and designate 2 people that's got separatese. Separatese is when somebody done testified or made statements against you and you can't be on the same compound with them.
That's right.
And also separatese can come when you're on the compound, you get in conflict with another inmate. So, yeah, but you just go out and stand in a cage for an hour. Some have basketball goals, some don't. It's just a cage.
Right. Yeah, and I want to compare and contrast just because. So my experience even before I went to trial, and I went to trial. No, this is after trial, but before sentencing. I was in the hole for 3 months under investigation. It was all nonsense. They were just trying to get me to testify. Yeah, I mean, they was trying to get me to cooperate. Yeah, so they put me in there for a little bit of torture. It's mental torture. That's what I was gonna say. So this is one of the things they would do. It was 23 and 1, but they only get one chance to go outside, and they might come at like 5 a.m. and it's raining and it's freezing.
Yeah, it's raining outside. It's freezing. You want wreck?
Right. That's what they say. Yeah, you want to do wreck? Yeah, hell, get the hell out of here. Yeah, and some dudes actually go crazy. I've seen dudes who shit on themselves or shit all over and start rubbing it on the walls. Or they might do some type of piss and shit bomb where they throw it on the officer when he comes, when they open up your thing to hand you the food because they don't open no doors. Have you seen anything like that?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It is. It's wild. And that can be mentally challenging too. I seen a dude get sliced with a razor blade. They were cellies.
Wow. They had them in cellies in the SHU.
No, they were cellies in general population.
Because sometimes they'll have more than one person in the SHU, which is horrible. And one might murder the other.
They just had a bad day, I guess. A bad morning. They woke up. I mean, they were arguing, and I was getting ready for visitation. So I'm standing up on the top tier. I'm looking down, they fighting. Me not knowing, and nobody not knowing. Nobody ain't seen this. One of the guys that was fighting them had a box cutter. You know, they have Unicor. Right. Unicor is where they make the furniture for the military. They make uniforms for the military. They make mail bags for the United States.
Right. Yeah, they make a lot of things.
They make a lot of things. They even make the uniforms for the federal inmates. But Unicor, they were making wood down there. But he had a razor that come out of a box cutter.
Did he smoke it in somehow? Right.
Yeah, but he had it under his tongue. Okay. And once they got to fighting, all you see is him just swiping, right? Like, what is he doing? Then look, the dude that he was fighting, all you could see was his neck stretching. Just stretching, the blood just started skeeting out. Sliced him open. And they say he was a fingernail tip away from the jugular vein.
Wow. So he lived?
Yeah, but he got 60 stitches from one side of his neck to the other. 70. Yeah, so I mean, I've seen riots. I've seen blacks get into it with the gang members. Not gang members. The Mexicans, the Mexican gangs. You know, it's something else. Now, my second time, I went to Yazoo City.
Yazoo's in where? Mississippi? I want to ask you about Talladega, and then I'm going to jump to. Yeah, so what I wanted to ask you is, how was it with the gangs there? Because I know on the West, I did my time on the East Coast. I know on the West Coast, the gangs is everything. You have to click up.
I've been there too.
Well, so how was it in Talladega though?
Talladega, see, back in the 90s, you didn't have that.
Okay. Were they on regional time? Like these people from New York, these people from Florida, these people from...
But everybody got along, and there wasn't no separatees of the tables when you go in the cafeteria. There wasn't no separatees of the TV rooms. You know, Talladega was pretty much laid back. That's where I studied my Islam and became a Muslim.
Oh, you're a Muslim?
I became a Muslim, okay. Yeah. Okay. And I was the assistant sharif on the compound. Wow. That's assistant security on the compound. Okay. How I got that position was we had a homeboy that was there, and my cousin was the sharif for the Muslims. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know anything about Muslims and all this, you know, different cliques. But Muslim is not a clique. It's a religion. Right. So the guy that I got in the argument, I got the guy
watching that saying, "Yo, we ain't no clique."
No, it's not a clique. Right. It's not a clique. It's a religion. But what I meant by cliques was states. You know, states hanging with each other. States like Florida, you have what they call a Florida car. You know, your South Carolina car. Right.
They're going to work out together. They're going to do everything together.
Everything together. But see, we didn't have it back in 93.
Okay. That's what's up.
We didn't have it. So Talladega was I'm going to say more of a laid back compound. Now, when I went to Yazoo City.
In Mississippi.
Yeah. It was a low. I went from a medium to a low. Okay. The low was more treacherous than the medium. Wow. Man, they had people going around because I tell you, you know, Talladega's a medium and they got cells. Okay. 2-man cell. Right. When I went to Yazoo City, they opened dorms. They got cubicles.
Oh, okay. Okay, they got cubicles. Okay, because it's a low.
Because it's a low. Now, this is something new for me. Right. I'm programmed with cells. Right. So I'm paranoid as I don't know what.
Because everything is open.
Everything open. I ain't used to that. Right. People getting up, going to the bathroom all times of the night.
If a dude really want to get you, he can get you.
He can get you.
He can get at you. He can get at you easy.
Yeah, but I mean, not that I was worried about anything, but I just wasn't used to being in an open dorm with people being able to walk around and stuff.
How long did you do it, Yazoo? No, Talladega.
Talladega, I was there from 95 to 99.
How long did you do it, Yazoo?
Yazoo, I was there from the end of 99 to 2002. Because I started out at the low and winded up leaving from the camp.
Which one did you prefer?
Back then, I was a youngster. So it was just really doing time. I preferred Talladega because it was closer to home.
Got you. What about your second bid? Where'd you go?
Oh man, they shipped my ass way to Long Park.
Oh, you was in Long Park. That's how you experienced the gang time.
Yeah, because you know on the, you know what they do from here, they take you to the holdover, the penitentiary.
In Atlanta.
Then they take you to the damn airport, put you on the prison plane.
Right.
I just happened to get the plane with the duct tape around the wing.
Oh man.
You didn't hear about that one, did you? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And what year is this?
This was 2009.
Okay, so I was locked up in 2009.
So they sent me to Oklahoma.
Okay, everybody got to go through Oklahoma. Well, not everybody, but most of the time. Yeah. Because they got one in, I think, Philly or something too.
Right, but Oklahoma is the central station to where they send you, especially if you're coming from south, going to the west.
Yeah, if you're going to the east, I think you go.
Yeah, you going to Oklahoma, you know. So get to Oklahoma. The man say, cause the lieutenant, when I got designated, I done got caught up in a whole conspiracy with my case was out of Fort Worth, Texas. Okay. I was the only one from Georgia. But
in that conspiracy?
Yeah, my connect was number 2 in command of the Texas syndicate.
Oh wow. That's a Mexican syndicate.
So now everywhere I go, they put me in the SHU. Wow. In the hole. Right. So I'm like, we went to FCI Fort Worth before I got designated.
Federal Correctional Institution.
Right, in Fort Worth, Texas. They put me in the SHU. So I'm like, why am I in the SHU? Well, you part of Texas Syndicate. I say Texas Syndicate is a Mexican gang. They don't have black people in the gang. They don't do that. They just, all of them are Mexican. I stayed in that hole, I think, for about 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
Then the lieutenant came and told me, he said, Willis, you've been designated. I said, is it close to home? He looked up in the air. He said, yeah, it's kind of close.
Wow.
They put my ass on that plane and took me to Oklahoma. You know, that's when they
So when he said it's kind of close, you still don't know where you're going?
No.
Because they don't let you know where you're going when you're traveling, that's right.
Right, but they let you know in Oklahoma though.
Okay.
The guy had the list. He was like, you know where you're going? I said, no. He said, you're going to Long Park. I said, Long Park. I said, that's in California, man. He said, yeah. I said, man, you sure? I said, because the lieutenant at the other prison I just left said, I'm designated close to home. I said, man, I said, California about 3,500 miles away from home, man. That don't sound close. I said, hey, man, you gotta be having me mixed up. He said, no, that's where you going.
Right, yeah. You double check, I'm confirming it. It says it right here, yeah, so Long Park.
I'm still thinking I'm finna go to general population.
Right, oh man.
They calling out names, separating people. Here I go to the hole again. This time, the cells got the showers in them.
Okay, so you don't even leave the shower. Wow.
You know, normally the ones that don't have the showers, they still take you to the shower every other day. Right. So mind you, it's the winter time. I'm not going out no damn side. So I'm been there 24/7. And you have to mentally prepare yourself to be inside of, what is it, 6x10 cell?
Whatever it is, it's small as house. It's about the size of a small bathroom.
Yes.
You in there with
You
your
got a toilet,
your sink,
and
your bed.
Your bed, and maybe a table.
Right.
That you can
That's
write
right.
on.
Yeah, that's right.
The Atlanta holdover got the biggest sales I done seen.
Okay. Yeah, I've been there.
They sales are very big. They bigger than the ones anywhere else.
Yeah, but it don't do you no damn good because they was packing you in there. Now I wasn't in the SHU in Atlanta holdover, but I was in there with 5-6 people, or 3-4, whatever it was. It was too many. It wasn't just two of us in one little room, and you was in there for 24 hours a day. It was crazy.
And just think about a person that's one got to go to the bathroom.
It happens.
And you got to lay in there and you got to turn your head to the wall.
Yeah, that's
common
courtesy,
under the
right?
Cover or whatever. But it ain't just the common courtesy, it's to cover up the smell.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, it's horrible. It's disgusting. They treat you like a fucking animal. It's very inhumane.
They do.
And I wanted to ask you, what were some of the things that you did in order to keep your sanity when you were in the hole? Myself, I read everything in the world. My family would send me magazine, Time magazine, Sports Illustrated. I got USA Today every single day, the Bible.
Right. Well, when I was in the hole, I did a lot of every opportunity that I could. I went to the law library.
Okay, right.
And I would run off cases, write cases, and I would go back and just study them.
Okay, so you educated yourself. You read a lot.
I read a lot. And that takes your mind off of time.
That's right.
Takes your mind. You know, I read when I was in the SHU or the hole in Talladega. I read the book and they what Don King wrote. You know, Don King did time.
I read his book. It inspired me. He did his time when he was 38 years old.
And guess what he say?
He said, don't let the time do you. You do the time. I already know. Fantastic book for people to read if you're incarcerated. Because I would read other inspirational things. Because when you're in there, you know, you battling depression, you know, low self-esteem. You know, you like, how the hell did I end up in this? I'm not only in prison, but I'm here.
But a lot of guys, I can't say too much about the women because I don't know, but I'm quite sure they go through the same thing the guys do. But
maybe even worse. Sometimes they be having children. They have their menstrual cycle.
Right. But the guys want to come to prison and want to worry about the streets. What you worrying about the streets for? Ain't shit you can do about the streets.
That's right.
They want the girl's life to stop. Oh, I'm locked up. You can't go out. And this, that, and other. Man, them folk don't want to hear that.
Right.
So when you do your time like that, oh, it's miserable.
That's right. It's miserable. Yeah, and I'm happy you're talking about that because you're really giving a masterclass for people if they ain't never been to prison before or if they end up going back to prison because there is a way to do, there's a right and a wrong way to do time. And when you, at least for me, and I know it was for you too because you're talking about it, when you go in there, most of us, me and you were bosses when we went in there. And a lot of people, I don't know about most of us, but some of us were. And a lot of times things float around us. When you live in that street life and you getting that money, everything flowed around you. People relied on you, your family, your spouses, friends, everyone. So when you go in there, and I want you to speak to that. I'm just setting it up. You know, I'm setting up the background for you to be able to expound further. When you first get locked up, you still in there with that mentality like you a shot caller, and you trying to control everything like you was controlling things on the street in your mind, but you can't control people. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And I say that to say, like, you might think you controlling people, but you really coercing them because you got the money or the power. And when you go in there and you telling your woman you trying to order her around it, now you got to let that go.
Got to.
And when someone counseled me on stop trying to control the things in the outside world, stop trying to control that woman and just try and build her up, my time instantly got easier because you thinking every second of the day you thinking about what she's doing or what someone's doing. Yo, you can't do that. The only thing you can do is give advice and try and build them up and encouragement. So tell me about your experience and what was it that helped you to let go to say, yo, I'm locked up and I gotta let them. I gotta help in a different way than what I'm used to helping.
Right. My first wife. My very first wife, we had a 7-year-old daughter. And we weren't even together when I got locked up. And she started coming to see me every weekend. And she would bring my daughter. She would come Saturday and Sunday. You know, Talladega was only an hour and a half away. So one day she said, will you marry me? Because I want to get married. I want my family back. I was like, no, let's not do that. I said, it's temptation out there. I said, we can say we go together. And if we still good when I get out, then we get married. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't want her to leave and just say the hell with it, because this is my support system. Mentally, not just financially, but just mentally, because she's coming to see me every weekend.
Yeah, you look forward to that, and it builds you up. Yeah. You know, you got somebody that still loves you. You know, they say you need 3 things in life, and that's why one of the things that they give you is a job in prison. You need someone to love, you need something to look forward to, and you need something to do. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, you are correct. So it took me 2 years, but I eventually gave in and we got married in September 1997. So after that, I got shipped to Yazoo. And I was like, you can't come every weekend. Maybe you come once every other month because of the distance. That drove us apart.
But you was actually thinking of her when you said you can't come every week. Am I right? You didn't want to put it through going through that distance every week.
So eventually, you know, she started doing her thing. I seen the patterns change. So now I'm filing for a divorce while I'm in there. She giving me the wrong address, zip code, everything. Because, you know, we don't know nothing besides what they tell us. You know, we don't want to be, as being locked up, and I tell women and guys, you can't run a woman or dictate her life because you in here. It's only a certain amount of things that you can expect. There's visits. Pick up the phone when you call. Send money if you can. And send cards or whatever during the holidays. That's all you can expect.
That's right. And somebody told me, which I agree with, don't ask them no questions. They're gonna tell you what they're gonna tell you. They're gonna tell you what they want you to know.
Right. Whether it's a lie or not.
Yeah. I mean, I done seen dudes screaming and yelling, slamming the phone, asking all type of questions.
Man, it was a guy. Let me tell you something. It was a guy that got charged with. He was a convicted felon. He was in a car with his girlfriend, and they found one bullet.
Yeah.
In the dashboard of the car.
That's right. I've heard stories like this. Met people like
they
that.
charged him with possession of ammunition by a convicted felon.
Knocked his head off.
Check this out. Now, it wasn't his car, it was his girl's car. She was driving. But she was like, well, I'm gonna, come to court and say it was my bullet.
Yeah, I was thinking he should be able to beat it, but what happened?
Oh yeah, he should have. He on the phone calling her all kind of bitches and hoes.
Oh,
and
this
I'm gonna
nigga's
kill
crazy
you
as
and
hell.
all this and all that.
Before the date was coming up?
Yes.
Because it was a supervised release violation or something. That's why he was locked up waiting, I guess, whatever, trial
He
or
wasn't even a
sentencing.
supervisor. He was just a convicted felon.
Convicted felon, right? That's why he was locked up and not in the free world.
Right.
Awaiting this new trial.
Yeah.
And this fool didn't have the emotional regulation.
So she,
I think it's crazy.
Guess what?
Tell me.
decides to go to trial.
Oh my God.
She don't show up.
Wow.
He get him.
She the star witness.
Yeah, he get
For
convicted.
him, yeah.
17 years.
Because he couldn't control himself. He trying to scream and curse at that woman and think he can control her from inside. You can't control him in the free world, Negro. So when the hell make you think you can control them? You can't control people, period.
If you gotta try to control somebody, they ain't the right person for you.
There you go. You teaching right now.
Then you gonna go to prison and try to control them? Right. Phones cut off at a certain time.
That's right.
And you know what I used to tell mine? If I call you and a nigga laying next to him, say, look, this is my nigga calling, be quiet.
Right.
He ain't got but 15 minutes on the phone because he gonna hang up.
That's what the real ones would do. Or they won't answer it if they laying there with their nigga or whatever. But I didn't met it, I didn't heard a story where sometime that woman answered that phone and the nigga that's laying next to him take the phone.
Right.
And say, listen, she ain't your motherfucking wife no more. She mine.
Right.
And don't call back.
Right.
And then that dude go crazy and either try and kill himself or don't eat and lose weight or go and hurt somebody else because he don't got no emotional regulation.
It was a dude that I knew over at the Atlanta Penitentiary. The day he got out, he had his girl to come get him. They're going down the expressway. I don't know where he got the pistol from. I don't know how he got it or whatever. Blew her brains out.
The woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He blew the woman's brains out.
Yeah,
because he knew she was messing around while he was locked up.
And he just couldn't take it. He couldn't move on. Yeah, that's crazy to me, but I mean, I understand. I get it. You know, like love. You know, it could. I
don't get it.
I don't get it anymore. But I don't get it. But what I say, I get. Like when you're in love with someone and you haven't grown to the point to where is that you haven't matured to the point to where you got to know. Yes, I'm hurting, but this will pass, and I can move on. So when I say I get it, I've loved before and I've been hurt before. Never to the point where I'm going to think that I'm going to hurt her or myself. But I get that some people, everybody's not here at the same mental. They don't have the same emotional regulation. Everybody just cannot do it. So there was a dude in there before. He called, and the dude was laying next to her. And he put his thing up in her while she was on the phone, and she screamed out in passion, and the dude just passed out, dropped the phone, boom, fell out on the ground, couldn't take it.
I mean, just like you say, I understand, but you know what I used to tell my boys? If you gonna get in any kind of trouble or you gonna break the law, don't commit yourself to no woman, son. Don't do it.
Right.
My son, I got a son now that's in state prison. He's in a gang.
In prison right now?
In state prison right now. Been locked up almost 8 years. He done went, him and his gang buddies went and robbed his ex-girlfriend brother. Wow. He ain't got no mask on. So one of the gang members decided to shoot the boy. Wow. And of course the boy was able to identify my son. But he did go to court and say, well, he wasn't the one that shot me. But one of his other gang members told on him. But he called himself a pimp. He had a girl, she was 18 years old. And I remember, I don't believe in pimping, taking no woman money and all that stuff. I don't believe in it.
No, I don't believe in it either.
So we get in the
It's actually a weakness, but
it is.
It's taking advantage of another human being.
I think it is a weakness.
Yeah, they try and disguise it and talk about it all slick,
I think
like it's a sign of strength. But no, it's you weak. You taking advantage of another human being.
Right. You want to lay up, chill out, But you want this woman to go sell her body and bring you money back.
Yeah, you sell your body, nigga.
Exactly.
And bring her the money.
So I'm, yeah.
If you really love her.
So I'm in his ear, man. Won't you find you something else to fucking do? So, but the girl was his bottom bitch, as they call it.
Right.
So every girl that he would go and get, she'll run him off. So I get him in the car one day. I say, well, why would you run all the girls off and all you got to do is go collect the money? You know what she told me?
What's that?
I can make the money myself. We don't need nobody else. So he gets locked up. They got 2 children. I'm trying to figure that out. How is you going up in this lady raw and you know she fucking and sucking on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's a crazy mentality.
You got a room. Then when she turn her trick, you go stand out on the balcony while she turning her trick.
It's unbelievable.
And then you go in there and lay up in her raw, naked.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know what the hell she done. And now, they got 2 kids.
Yeah, it's a sick mentality.
So once he get locked up, guess what?
Tell me.
She on her own.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So what else do she know? What else do she know?
Yeah, what the hell else she supposed to do? So now she got to get another pimp.
Not only that, she didn't get another pimp, but she did what she only knew: lay on her back and get money. Broke his heart.
What do you expect her to do?
That's what I told him.
Told you he was weak. Not him.
We as humans don't think about what may happen in the future. We thinking about what's going on now. So now while we out making money and being able to lead or control or however you want to put it, and the woman being submissive and doing this, that, and the other. And what I mean by that is, if you say you can't go out, she ain't gonna go out simply because you taking care of her. You are her financial stability and security. So yeah, okay, if you want to control, you gonna control that way. But when you go to prison or get locked up, that control is gone. They gonna go find the next man to do what you was doing.
Right. And so for me, and that's what I think people gotta, dudes or people that have that mentality, whether it's a man or a female, that you want to try and control someone and you're doing it financially. I never think that's good, because if something happens to the finances, you dead. I think it's better to build them up and teach them how to stand on their own 2 feet.
Finances or freedom, it's over with.
That's right.
Yeah, try to build that woman up. Take her out of whatever she was in. I got 9 children, 6 girls and 3 boys. 3 of my baby mamas were strippers. 2 of them worked in Magic City. 1 worked at Club Blaze off of Moreland.
Right.
And I was a hustler. But I said, okay, a stripper is a hustler.
Facts.
So let me go get me one of them. Take them out the club.
Okay. Oh, you took them out the club when you got them?
Out the club. Every last one of them.
All right. Now, were they happy to come out the club?
Yeah. But I was like, I want you to take 3 to 6 months. I'm going to pay all the bills. You ain't got to worry about nothing.
Okay.
Take 3 to 6 months and figure out what it would be. What is something that you would like to do to make your own money and not have to strip?
That's good. I think that's I think your heart and your mentality was in the right place, because you was trying to give them an option to build them up.
What you think the success rate of that was?
I don't think it was very high.
0 out of 3.
Why do you think it was so low? What's the reason behind that? The success rate.
0. No business sense. No just the fast money.
That's what they were used to. Yeah. That's all they knew. You was hustling, so you was out, you was all the time, you was doing your thing. Do you think maybe, like, let's say the same scenario, now just rock with me, follow me. If the same scenario play out now and that same thing happened, Do you think maybe you would approach it a little differently, where rather than you just telling them, yo, I'm paying everything, because now you're still making it easy for them. You know, you be there for me. I'm gonna pay everything. I'm gonna take care of you. Ain't gotta pay no bills. Figure out what you want to do. Do you think you could have guided them maybe a little differently?
Even with today, I don't regret the way I did things, because I still think that I did the best I could do. And would I do it again? Yes and no.
But with those particular women, those mothers, if and the knowledge you have now, do you think it was just that they didn't know how, or they didn't want to?
Well, two of them didn't want to.
Okay, now that's the problem. Yeah, you can't. A man convinces.
Two of them was fine and they were fine and beautiful. They were fine and beautiful. So they wanted to use their beauty and body style as a money maker. They don't want to take the time out to make money and do things that may be a little slower than stripping money.
Right. They were used to the fast money, instant gratification.
But I don't regret the way I approached them. I don't regret that, period. I would do it all over again.
When you went to prison, did they have to go back to the club, or did they end up going back to the club?
Yep. One of them went back to the club before I even went to prison. My next to the youngest daughter mama went Onyx. Onyx was getting ready to open. So I'm like, have you decided what it is that you want to do? Because she did makeup and all that stuff real good. She said, well, Onyx finna open back up, and I'm thinking about going back to, going to work over there. I say, what? All this time that you done had off, and all you can come up with going back to Onyx?
Yeah, some people don't know any better, man, and they just look for, that's what they know. So, most of us in fact, most of us human beings, we're gonna go back to what we know. And
I agree with that. Even selling drugs.
Yeah. We go back to what we know most of the time.
Yes.
If we don't have an alternative.
See, you said a big word.
And it's a mindset thing.
If you don't have an alternative.
That's right. And sometimes you got to create your own. All the time you got to create your own alternative.
If a person came to me back in the days, and what I was trying to do was, I wanted to be the entrepreneur. And the reason why I wanted these children mama to open their business up, because I was going to get them, believe it or not, 80%, give me 20%, whether we make it or not.
Right.
I'm not going to try to come run your business because I don't know nothing about it.
I'm going to put the money up, I'm going to give it to you, you do your thing, and just give me some residuals.
Exactly.
I get it. I'm not mad at that.
Because I want to come out the streets.
Right.
I'm thinking early to bring my ass out the street. Just went, and then with me with the nightclubs and stuff. Again, I didn't know what the Phoenix was doing.
Oh, you didn't even really know if the Phoenix was making money or not?
I knew they were making money, but I didn't know what it was actually creating and building.
Gotcha.
I was making so much in the street. It was irrelevant. Phoenix money was irrelevant. It was just money where I can get a check and put it in the bank and file taxes on.
I got you.
I'm moving 50 keys every 10 days.
And he's making $5,000 a key minimum, right?
Yes.
That's $500,000 every 10 days. 1.5 in a month.
I don't care nothing about no.
You was getting it. For real. You was the guy the rappers is rapping about.
Exactly.